What's up, Dino members? It's China Crunch Gamer here. Welcome back to another video, and today is episode 2 of the Expedition Development Series. Today, I'm going to go over the Prelude story of what happened before the events of the playable game. Why are the animals hyper-aggressive? Why is the world in apocalypse? All of that will be answered today. Also, one side note before we get into today's video. I recently got an appliance in my mouth, more specifically a double helix. So if you hear me talking weirdly, that's why. 2. There aren't going to be many images in this video, so this video is just going to be more of a listening video, if that's okay. Hopefully my other videos will be more watching instead of listening, which my last video sort of failed to be. So maybe listen to this while you're doing a chore or something, I don't know. Anyways, without further ado, let's jump in to where it all started. It was the year 2028. And humanity had entered a sort of platinum age of technological advances. They discovered a tunnel system deep underground that went through many different parts of the Earth. They discovered a method of FTL travel through carts that used magnetic propulsion. They managed to install magnetic tracks with these carts in the transcontinental tunnel system. It was called the FTLUR, or Faster Than Light Underground Railroad. In September 2028, a new company was formed. They were called Bioplanet. They strived to be the best steward of God's creation they could be, taking care of nature while still respecting humanity because they were created in God's image. They quickly became one of the most powerful companies in the US. They were able to create multiple zoos around the world. To keep track of the status of humanity and all of nature, Bioplanet built many different buildings that would send out weak lasers to create geological surveys on different parts of the Earth to create constantly updated maps. They were called geological surveyors. Bioplanet also created 7 different facilities, one for each continent, to take all of the data the surveyors collected and use them to keep an eye on creation to see how it was doing and to possibly take action if something went wrong. They also made a core underground facility in the most northwestern tip of Washington. It was also where one of their zoos were. In addition to all of these new buildings, Bioplanet also discovered a way to extract animal parts from animals without harming them. It worked by forcing the animal to do mitosis on a specific part of their body en masse. This caused the creation of a duplicated animal part. However, this technology was only a prototype and could not be used on every part of the animal, could not gather large amounts of materials for a single animal at one given time, and could only be used while the animal was sedated. Bioplanet dubbed this process forced mitosis animal resource harvesting, or simply harvesting. Bioplanet eventually figured out how to put this process into a compact machine. They called this machine the harvester. It used harvesting technology to harvest an animal part. Then the duplicated part would be instantly covered in a special liquid that shrunk objects, also created by Bioplanet, and put into a small container. When the user wanted to take the items out, they could simply open the hatch of the container and the items would come out. The liquid would instantly dry off and the item would return to its normal size. Bioplanet also created a new power source that was more efficient and better for the environment. It took nitrogen from the atmosphere and converted it into energy. During this process, it released O3 as a byproduct. Bioplanet quickly put this to use in all of their buildings and harvesters. Bioplanet was able to figure out how to construct DNA into any form they desired. This, when formed into a zygote and put into an organic development chamber, could be used to make organisms. But Bioplanet was not the only one who found this out. Another company, which Bioplanet did not agree with, also figured out how to do this exact same thing: prehistoric organism reconstruction, or POR. POR got their hands on this technology, and after a confirmation test, which involved creating a fruit fly with an extra pair of wings, POR got to creating tons of organisms. They created animals that resembled modern representations of dinosaurs, and then started creating other things. Bioplanet, on the other hand, managed to create a special fungus that would grow inside animals, and once they were on the brink of death, release healing chemicals into the animal, and in the process, releasing a byproduct of melatonin, and a lot of it. However, this fungus could travel through the ground and into animals extremely quickly, so Bioplanet had to keep them under high surveillance so that an outbreak would not occur. The reason Bioplanet kept this fungus was because if the fungus was heated up, it released a sedative gas, which was very useful in zoos. When it came to POR, however, Bioplanet did not approve of them. They said that it wasn't right to tinker with God's creation at this reckless of a level. Back to Bioplanet, there was one person who had come from a more tribal group not from the US. He had witnessed people do horrible things to his tribe in respect for animals. So naturally, when he heard about Bioplanet's respect for animals, he knew he had to stop them. Otherwise, their respect for animals might trump their respect for humans, and due to the power they had, do horrible things because of it. So, he got a job at Bioplanet undercover to try to convince people of the dangers of Bioplanet to take them down. He soon convinced many employees of the danger of Bioplanet, and soon these, now rogues, started coming up with a plan to take Bioplanet down. They decided to kill all devout followers of Bioplanet, so that they would no longer be a danger to humanity. However, they had to get creative. They couldn't just outright kill them, as that would, 1, make it obvious to other people, and 2, more people could simply take up the place of the killed people and nothing would be accomplished. So, they came up with a plan. They toiled in the Bioplanet labs until they managed to create a new element, Domagrisevium. This element inserted itself into animals and made them extremely aggressive specifically towards humans. None of the rogues knew why, but they didn't care. As long as it got the job done, it was okay. They also made a compound called Recone, which partially degraded anything that was damaged that the compound considered man-made. The rogues planned to insert the Domagrisevium into the zoo animals, while at the same time inserting the Recone into the ground. This would degrade at the fences keeping the animals in, and once the fences were gone, the Domagrisevium would do the rest. They also engineered the geological surveyor pillars, which were used to give the surveyor a boundary for its scanning, to emit a force field to keep the Bioplanet followers in while the animals did the rest. The rogues eventually decided to spread this tactic to all of the Bioplanet zoos, so that the Bioplanet followers could not pick up any pieces. They also decided to take control of the major facilities so that Bioplanet could not fight back at all. Finally, they secretly bought some of POR's creation technology and secretly installed it in each of the facilities. At last, everything was completed. The rogues got into position at every Bioplanet zoo around the world and at every major Bioplanet facility, and at last, they released the Domagrisevium in the Recone and activated the force fields that installed around the Bioplanet zoos. Carnage ensued. Many people were killed, Bioplanet followers or not. The rogues were sad to kill the non-followers, but they had to make sacrifices. Unfortunately, the Domagrisevium and Recone were way more invasive than the rogues had thought, and they went through the ground into animals and man-made structures, respectively. Worldwide carnage ensued. People were forced out of their homes, many people died, and to make matters worse, the sedative fungus that POR created got out of their containment areas and percolated into animals. Now, humans could no longer permanently get rid of animals that were threatening them, as they would eventually just wake up and terrorize the people once again. The few buildings that were left were the buildings that were nitrogen powered by the new power source and were somehow not affected by the recone. This meant that the rogues had functional facilities and other buildings to take advantage of, while the rest of humanity did not. The rogues did strive to rebuild the world after the apocalypse, but they also wanted to rid the world of the followers of Bioplanet and overall any person who respected animals. Even after all this carnage ensued, one person made it out of Bioplanet alive.